Welcome to John Redmann, Power of Attorney, the show that aims to empower you through knowledge of the law. I'm Attorney John Redmann.
And hello, everyone. I'm Shauna Sanford. Our topic today is something that touches the lives of thousands and thousands of children and adults. Adoption. We're going to spend time getting into as much as possible to help those of you who are thinking about adopting and those of you who are going through the process. There are many legal issues to consider. Right now, there are more than 5,000 children in foster care here in Louisiana. And this week, we're going to be talking about adoptions through the foster care system. And next week, we're going to tackle private adoptions.
What are the rights of adopted children, parents who adopt, and birth parents? How are Louisiana's laws different from laws elsewhere in this country? We're happy to have attorney Tim Webre on the show to get into these questions and many more.
And Tim has been a guest on the show before, so we're really happy to have him back. This is something that is near and dear to his heart. He certainly deals with this issue a lot. But before we actually invite him on to the set with us, help us to better understand what role attorneys play in this whole process.
Well, it's pivotal because when you're talking about a child and adoption, either in the foster system or in private adoption or through the state, it's not like buying and selling a piece of real estate or a car. You're talking about the care and custody of our most precious resource. We're talking about children. You want to make sure that these children, who oftentimes in the foster care system are being rescued from very unpleasant circumstances, and you want to make sure that they end up in a home where they're going to be properly cared for. Adults who are looking to adopt, you want to make sure that they are properly vetted, that you don't put them from the frying pan into the fire. So it's going to be a very good discussion. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm a parent of 2 young kids myself, and I'm blessed to have my kids, and I hope that those people who are looking to adopt are going to get some very good, useful information here on this show.
And I'm sure that they will. Lots to talk about, lots to learn. Coming up next, attorney Tim Webre joins the show to talk about adoptions. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Well, there are so many kids looking for loving homes, and there are families out there looking to adopt, but there are also some very important legal issues that you need to be aware of if you're planning to start the adoption process or if you're already involved. Today, we're excited to have attorney Tim Webre on Power of Attorney to help us go over some of the basics of adoption.
Tim currently works as a private attorney in family law and criminal defense. He also spent many years working with the Jefferson Parish Public Defender's Office, where he represented juveniles accused of crimes. This is Tim's second time on the show, and we are happy to welcome him back.
And we take that as a good sign, Tim, that you decided to come back
Thank you.
and
Thank
spend
you.
some time with us. This is such an important topic, and so let's just get right into it. When we talk about adoptions, what are the options out there for people who are looking to adopt?
All right, I want to say one thing, that besides representing the delinquencies, I represented the children in foster care and in termination parental rights cases.
Okay.
And I've been doing this for 25 years.
Okay.
I remember my first case I had representing a child. The father decided to take out his children in the woods to kill them all, but he was so drunk he was unsuccessful. And those were the first children that I represented in foster care. That was 25 years ago, and I'm still representing children in the foster care system.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the father did not win that case.
The father was so drunk he was unsuccessful, and unfortunately the mother was also an alcoholic, and so the children came into foster care. So yeah,
Thank goodness for that.
So these are, children in foster care. This
Big
is a
picture
serious
adoptions. Why don't you
big
define
picture.
that for us?
Right now there are 5,000 children in foster care. About 635 to 640 at any time are freed for adoption. That's not your only source to adopt a child. If a couple wants, or a single person wants to adopt a child, to be qualified to adopt a child in Louisiana, you have to at least be 18 years old. A single person can adopt, or a married couple can adopt. You cannot have two people that are unmarried adopting the same child.
Okay.
All right. At that point, what that person needs to do is either contact the Department of Children and Family Services if they're interested in going the foster care route, or they could have a private or an agency adoption, in which case they need to contact a adoption attorney. And an adoption attorney is not necessarily a family law attorney. You can be both, but they're two separate processes. An adoption is much more complicated. If someone is doing divorces, child support, that's a different beast than adoptions. So an adoption attorney is not necessarily a family law attorney, and vice versa. An attorney could do both, but that's not necessarily the case.
You do both?
I do both.
Okay.
I do both. The next step is a home study is going to be done. If this is a private adoption or a DCFS adoption, and DCFS is the Department of Children and Family Services. I'm going to keep calling them DCFS.
Okay.
And if I accidentally call them OCS, because they were OCS a few months ago, the state likes to change their acronyms every administration. They will do a home study. The home study will come into the home. They will check the criminal background of the people who want to adopt. They will check the abuse and neglect record of the people that want to adopt. They will look at your income taxes so that if this is a case of a private adoption or an agency adoption, that you have sufficient income to support the children. They will look at your health records. They will look at your mental health records. They will look at if your house has adequate room for a child. They will look to see that your animals are vaccinated. They will do a thorough investigation.
They want to make sure that you're providing a healthy, safe home, mentally, physically, all the above, that this child is, if they are going to allow the adoption, that the child is going into a place where they will be well received, loved, cared for, and financially the parents are capable to accomplish all these things.
Correct.
And just on a personal level, how do I decide if I want to go through the private agency or through foster care system?
A lot of this is going to be personal. Now, the foster care children are all ages. There is a website, Adopt Us Kids, and that's you can look to see the children that they actually have postings of the children available for adoption through the state. It's a very personal decision whether you want to go through DCFS or you want to go through private, and it's also a financial decision. There are three types of adoptions: private adoptions, agency adoptions, interfamily adoptions. Really, there's five. There's also adult adoptions, which I don't think we'll discuss, and also
very
international
rare, and it doesn't really have much application for 99.9% of the population.
Exactly. Interfamily adoptions do, though, because you often have grandparents adopting children. You have step-parents adopting children. In terms of DCF adoptions, that's actually a subset of agency adoptions. So all the legal rules that apply to agency adoptions apply to DCFS. Now, the adoptive parent now has decided they've had their attorney. Social workers come out and done the home study. And the private and the agency adoptions, which are not DCFS, they're going to make a book. Picture book of their house, of themselves, with non-identifying features
Of the parents,
because the adopting parents, because they want to show something to the mother who wants to give up a child for adoption. This is what I'm going to give, what I can give to your child. Okay. And then really you have the next step.
This is the child before the child is born?
Before the child is born, because the mother who wants to give up the child for adoption, she is doing the same thing. She's reached that decision. I have to give up my child I am going to give up my child for adoption. She's reaching out to an adoption agency or an adoption attorney. And that is where the match is made. And that is why you don't want a family law attorney, because the adoption attorney, in addition, he has the contacts. People know, even if it's just by word of mouth, that you talk to this lawyer, he's going to find a suitable adoptive parent for you. You go to an adoption agency. Now, the bigger problem, I don't know if it's a big problem. I find it's a problem. I don't see an official website listing all the licensed adoption agencies. So you have to do a little work on your own.
Yeah.
Now, there are some big ones, all right, that everyone knows about. But if just because you see it on a website doesn't mean that it's accurate. So
you bring up an interesting point. So anybody contemplating going into this process, there's some important need-to-knows, and so finding a good agency, a private agency, there are various choices. So how do they know if something is a legitimate adoption attorney, a legitimate adoption agency? How do they know?
Some of the adoption agencies, you're going to know they're legitimate. Catholic Charities, all right, VOA, St. Elizabeth's in Baton Rouge is very good. Also, there's the American Academy of Adoption Attorneys, and they do a certification process. So if they're on that list, they are very good. ABL in Louisiana, it might be the only Bond for Life in Louisiana might be the only agency which is on that list. However, that's a very small, exclusive list. Some of the best adoption attorneys and some of them are not on that
list.
Do not meet those qualifications. I think there are only 300 adoption attorneys in the country that they have certified. So, and again, some of the best in Louisiana are not. So you're going to have to do a lot of legwork, a lot of word of mouth. This is a high risk area in terms of what you are putting up, what you're putting up at stake, not just financially, emotionally.
Sure.
Okay, let me make a comment. We'll put this some of the names you've given, some of the suggestions you're given. What we'll do is we'll put this information on the Power of Attorney website so people can get this. If you didn't have a pen handy when you were saying that, we'll put that on our website so people can go there later on, those who are interested, and later on this entire episode will be on the website. So you can watch the website, but you can also go to the website and get the details on a PDF.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit more about foster care. And we're quickly running out of time for this first segment, but we'll be able to pick it up during the second segment. You mentioned earlier, we mentioned there are 5,000 children who are in the foster care system, a little over 600 who are actually available for adoption. Who are these kids who are available for adoption?
Like we've said in the adoption process, we've just reached that point where you as the parent want to adopt, you be an adoptive parent. How does the child come into this system? In the foster care system, these children come in involuntarily, okay? Or they're safe haven babies. What will happen in terms of foster care if a mother gives birth to a child and she realizes that she cannot handle this, she cannot raise this child, and it's immediate. She can turn the child over to the hospital and say, I can't do it. Now, this is rare because in most options, the mother, if she had decided beforehand, she could have arranged an adoption. But you do have, and we do have cases, safe haven babies, where these are just infants that are just newborns that are given up for an adoption. You will have cases where again, where you have newborns, where the state immediately terminates the mother's parental rights at birth because something she has done in the past.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to have to ask you to hold it right there, but we're going to pick it up as soon as we come back from the break. Coming up next, we're going to continue our conversation about foster care adoptions. We're also going to take your questions about the adoption process. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.